Git and GitHub are essential tools for any software developer or DevOps engineer. Git is a distributed version control system that allows us to track changes to our codebase and collaborate with other developers. And GitHub is a web-based platform that provides hosting for Git repositories and a range of collaboration features. My name's Jameson, and today I'm going to show you everything you need to really know about Git and GitHub and what you're going to need to know to get started on, just creating your own repository and maybe sharing a project with your friends. Let's go ahead and get started. With Git, we can create a local copy of our codebase, make changes, and then push those changes to a remote repository. This allows us to easily collaborate with other developers and manage different versions of our code. One of the most powerful features of Git is called branching. Branching allows us to create a separate copy of our codebase, make changes, and then merge those changes back into the main codebase. This allows us to work on multiple features or bug fixes at the same time without interfering with each other. Another useful feature of Git is called tagging. Tags allow us to mark specific points in our codebase, such as releases or milestones, for easy reference in the future. Now, let's talk a little bit about GitHub. GitHub is a web-based platform that provides hosting for Git repositories and a range of collaboration features. With GitHub, we can create a remote repository, add collaborators, and manage our codebase using Git commands. GitHub also provides a range of features for managing issues, pull requests, and releases, making it a powerful tool for software development. Okay, let's stop here and let me ask you guys a question. What's the difference between Git and GitHub? If you said Git is used to create or modify a codebase, and GitHub is a platform used for hosting your Git repositories, you are correct. Okay guys, so for today's tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to start your own GitHub repository locally, and then connect it to a remote GitHub repository that you're going to go ahead and create on github.com. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started. Pretty simple, so you guys should be able to pick it up pretty easily. So the first thing we're going to do is actually start by creating a new folder for our application, or I guess our project or repository, and I'm just going to name it, we'll go with Python app. Just to keep things simple, I'm just going to create a very simple Hello World Python application. Okay, let's go ahead and name this Hello World .py, and I just want this file to print hello world. Save that. Cool. And if I wanted to check to make sure that this actually works, I can just, if you're using Visual Studio Code, you should be able to just right click on the file and then run Python file in terminal, and here we go, hello world. So I know that works. Fantastic. So our next step is going to be to actually initialize this directory as a Git repository. And how we would do that is go ahead and open this up in our integrated terminal. And one thing I'd like to note, if we run the ls and give it the al flags, there are 3 files in this directory. Or more specifically, we have a reference to the current directory with this dot, reference to the parent directory with the dot, and just the normal file, the Python file that I created earlier. Just wanted to make note of that before we continue. Okay, so our next step is going to be to actually initialize with the git init command, and all this is going to do is just initialize, or, kind of tell our directory that this is going to be a new kind of directory. This is going to be a Git directory, which is going to be version controlled. So if we run git init, you'll see initialized empty Git repository and file path. Okay, great. So what I'd like to note now is if we run that lsal command again, you'll see that a new .git repository has been created. And if we actually cd into that .git repository, you'll see a bunch of different like little folders and different files have been created, and all of these are just different references and configurations for the Git repository in your Git connection, which is important to note. And that's just how we kind of distinguish between a normal directory and a Git directory. So if I cd back, okay, awesome. Our next step is actually going to be, let's go to github.com and create our remote repository on there. So if I open my browser, and if you're already, I'm already signed into GitHub, but it's just a very simple creating an account and just going to create a new repository if you haven't. So let's go ahead and keep our naming convention pretty much the same. I'll call it Python app. I can spell. And this is just a simple Python application. Next up, I'll go ahead and make this a private repository. And everything else should be fine. So let's go ahead and just create our repository. Okay, awesome. And you'll see here upon initial creation, the only thing they have in common right now is just the naming convention. Otherwise, these are two completely separate repositories, so we're going to need a way to actually link them. And Git is actually very nice with this, or GitHub more specifically, because they provide you the directions to do so. The very first set of directions will actually show you how to create a repository locally if you haven't already. And the second one will actually show you how to add it if you already have an existing one. So let's go ahead and follow the second set of directions since I already created my own repository. So the very first thing I'm going to do is run this git remote add origin, which will just go ahead and add this origin to our Git. Okay, cool. Looks like that's been added. Now that that's been added to our Git configuration, our next step is going to be to switch over to our main branch. Okay, and this git branch command just switches to a branch. We're just specifying our main branch by using this m flag. Okay, so now that we're switched over to our main branch, let's go ahead and open up again. And then we'll do a git push u origin. But before we do that, what I'd like to do is actually note a couple things. So if you look up here, you'll see this U, little green U over here next to the Python file. So what's going on there is that I actually have a Visual Studio Code Git extension installed, and that's just letting me know that this file has been untracked. So what that means is that this file has not been committed, or it's not actually being picked up by the Git repository. So what we're going to need to do for that is, if I go back here and go down to my terminal again, so if I run a git add, and you could pass it either the file name, directory name, or whatever you're trying to add. But if you're just trying to add everything, you could just pass it the dot operator. So if I just do git add dot, it'll just add everything in the current directory. Great, and that'll just add it to my next commit. And now all I need to do next is actually do a commit. So git commit, and give the -m flag, and I'll just pass it this message first, commit, and this just lets it let Git know that I'm trying to go ahead and commit these new changes to my Git branch. And if you look up here, you'll see that U has actually turned to A, so that U was just telling me that it was untracked. Now this file has been added to my next commit. So if I do a git commit -m and give it that first commit message, you'll see here one file change, one insertion. It now has turned to gray, There's no more green on the outline. This commit has been tracked. And actually, if you have the source control extension, again, if you go over here, you'll actually be able to see your commit when it's been done, what file was actually added to that commit. You'll be able to publish it on GitHub. Just lots of good stuff. But for right now, we're just going to go ahead and go the standard manual route. Next, let's go ahead and run that git push u origin main command. If I run that command that we were provided earlier, that will go ahead and push to our Git repository. And this will, if you see this come up, this means that everything ran successfully and all of these changes should have been pushed to our remote repository. So now if I go ahead and flip back to my Git repository and refresh the page, great. You'll see here, hello world.py has been pushed. And if I open it up, print hello world is now here. So that is kind of pretty much how you would create a local Git repository, connect it to a remote one and push any changes, as well as how you would be able to monitor these changes and pull them down, or, you know, just lots of good different stuff you will be able to do with Git. So I hope you guys found this interesting. So to recap, in this video, we covered Git and GitHub. Okay, that's it for today's video. We hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions or comments, or, you know, just some cool stuff you want to show me that you've done with Git or GitHub, just let me know down below in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more cloud videos, or click on one of these other videos on the screen for something else cool. And thanks for watching. I'll see everyone next time.